Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast, where we discuss all sorts of things Germanic heathenry related. My name is Jesse, and I am your host. Let's get into it.
The RHR workshop is dedicated to the old ways, offering a wide selection of animist ritual supplies, divination tools, altar goods, and home decor, including premium reindeer hides imported from traditional herders in northern Finland. Whether you're just starting your spiritual journey or looking to expand your collection with a custom drum, we have everything you need. Visit our online store at thealvatir.com and discover the beauty of mountain spirit.
All right, everybody. Welcome, and hail to all of you fine folks out here across the globe, across Midgard, and maybe some of the other realms. Hope you're all doing well tonight. Got a guest that's going to be joining us, sort of a co-host, more or less. Brother of mine, Patrick Walsh, he's going to be jumping on here in just a moment. So we are streaming live here on YouTube and Facebook. So wherever it is that you're tuning in and catching this on, go ahead and drop a comment down below and let us know where you're watching from. We've already got, looks like Michael Thacker on YouTube. Yeah, Michael, you sure did make it tonight. You were one of the first to comment. And then we've got John over on Facebook. He says, that one time at band camp. Yeah, we don't talk about that. But if you're all here new for this monthly live stream that we do, this is kind of a recurring thing every week. This becomes the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast. So if you are not yet following me on any other social platforms, I do a monthly live stream here on Facebook and YouTube to kind of just connect with my audience and answer any questions that you all may have. Watching from Columbus, Ohio. Hello there, Kristen. It's been a while. I think I've seen your face pop up on the thumbnails here every now and again, but thank you for tuning in and watching on the Facebook platform. But yes, if you folks are new to what I do here, these are monthly live streams to connect with my audience. My main podcast is aired every Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central, in video format on my Patreon. You'll see scrolling down on the bottom here, that link is patreon.com/MidgardMusings. And you can join at the Carl tier, which is just a $1 pledge. That $1 pledge gets you access to all of the video podcasts, the whole full-length show. But if you don't want to watch and just want to listen, you can listen to me on most of your major podcast audio streaming sites like Spotify or Apple Music, or I think Amazon. So you can find me. Just search Midgard Musings or search Random Heathen Ramblings, and you'll find me. Kristen says it's been a while. Well, it's good to have you back here, Kristen. So again, this is going to just kind of be a random ramblings of sorts, and we're going to bring on Patrick Walsh here right now, my brother from another mother. There he is.
Hello.
Tuning in from Missouri.
That is correct.
Yeah, you still have snow on the ground out there, bud? Melted now.
A little bit.
Just a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, it was like 60-something degrees here today.
Yeah, but same here. It's about it got to 67 at one point. I went on a little hike a little bit earlier this afternoon.
Oh, did you?
Oh, I had to. I mean, it was
good day for
outside.
It. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good day for it. I just almost lit myself on fire here because I realized my incense was burning too fast and I didn't blow it out. And then I tried to pick up the thing, and well, there you have it. It's just a thing.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it. It's as random as it gets, folks. So good thing I've got another shtick here to keep going. Maybe it won't burn the house. Nah, it won't burn that. Michael, sorry, you're in Pike County, Kentucky, over there in the mountains. John is, he says he's got work doing security during Mardi Gras on Burbage Street. It's going to be a blast. All right, so you're still in Louisiana. Very cool. Hope you're all doing well tonight. And yeah, like I said before, this is going to kind of be You know, ask us anything. You know, guys, this is live, and you can interact with me and Patrick in real time. So if you have a question for me or for Patrick or for the both of us that you'd like to throw our way, feel free to do so. Um, Also, Patrick, you have for folks that are watching on Facebook, you guys might recognize Patrick because he's got a social media group that he runs and that I help kind of moderate or whatever, called the High Lung Tribe Mental/Spiritual Support Group. So High Lung Tribe Mental Spiritual Support Group. Um, and yeah, Patrick, what do you want to plug that at all?
Oh yeah, just an amazing group of great people. We all share a great love for High Lung and all the work that they do. It's just a place for us to be ourselves, to share our struggles as well as our accomplishments. And it's basically what the name says, mental and health spiritual group.
Yeah. And so I posted the link down for the comments or in the comment section on both YouTube and on Facebook over here. So if you're perusing the internet Facebook groups and you want to join and it is a safe place. Again, you can even post anonymously. I know a lot of folks that watch these things don't always like to comment due to having legitimate concerns of their safety. If their identity is there. And then, as Kristen says, it's a great group, very supportive. So Kristen knows.
Thank you, appreciate that.
She knows what's up, And yeah, thank you for saying so. I agree. I've been there. Man, I don't remember when I came in there, but
right towards the beginning, I think.
Yeah, I feel I don't remember what your group numbers were, but you got to be pushing close to 3,000 almost, right? 2,600.
Yeah, 26. I was about to say.
Yeah, and you get new members every day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really awesome. It's very engaging. Hello there, David Klin. Good to be here again. Yes, good to have you here, sir. David's a heathen down, I believe, in the Columbia, Tennessee area. So for those of you wondering, we got a good group of folks in the Middle Tennessee area and surrounding places. So, but yes, it's good to see everybody. If you have questions, again, comment them down below. We'll get to them as soon as we can. We'll kind of get to them in between our own conversations here because I threw a bone to Patrick and said, "Hey, man, you want to come on the live with me tonight?" No pressure or anything, of course, but just like a last minute, hour and a half away, like, hey, you want to come and shoot the breeze with me for a bit, and I'm glad you decided that you wanted to, because I always enjoy any conversations that we have, and it's great to do so when we are talking about stuff that we both can connect with, that we can both jive with, things that are both kind of in our wheelhouse. And you had looked at a post from, I think it was last week's episode, about reconnecting with the Landvitir. And for those of you folks that hadn't seen it yet, again, you can go back to my Patreon page to watch the whole thing. Just sign up at the Carl tier for $1 to watch the whole thing, or you can go to Spotify or any of the other audio platforms if you just want to listen to it. But it was actually one of Michael Thacker here, who's watching from YouTube. It was that topic. It was him that suggested that topic on reconnecting, or not reconnecting, but developing a stronger bond or a deeper connection with the spirits of the land. Landvitir, land whites, whatever name you want to put to it. So speaking of Michael Thacker, did you guys get caught up in those storms last week? Here in Tennessee, we had a bunch of rain. We did get some snow, but I mean, it was like a dusting. It was, if we got an inch or two, that was it. But we've had a lot more rain here recently, so nothing too terribly disruptive. What about you, Patrick? How's the weather been out there by you?
Quite the 180, because for a while we had that cold stretch.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a high, like 20 degrees with a low of I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
But the last couple of days, though, it's just been up. very pleasant and tolerable.
cool.
It's funny too because Sunday I was hanging out with my friend and I was telling her like, "Hey, it's gonna get up to 40 degrees today." You know, after we're being in the teens, 40 degrees feels like it's like springtime.
Sure does. Yeah, you like everything's relevant or relative, you know. 20s during the day, and then you get 40s. You're like, yeah, it's a heat wave. You know.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So we're all good though. But so yeah. Anyways, you were pretty excited, Patrick, to talk about deepening our connection with the land spirits. So did you get a chance to, I know I share like clips and stuff around. Have you gotten a chance yet to listen or watch to any of the thing that I posted about last week's episode about this?
I have not yet, no.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, then we can just kind of build it from the ground up here.
Bear with me for just one quick moment here.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to read Kristen's comment here. She said that my kindred fell apart and I completely lost my faith with it. The gods, land spirits, and ancestors went silent. Any advice on picking up a solitary practice and reconnecting to one's spirituality?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I was to say, make sure that you heard all that, Patrick, because I feel like that's something.
Run it by me one more time. Those kind of cutting out there.
Okay. So Kristen on YouTube says that my kindred fell apart and I completely lost my faith with it. The gods, the land spirits, and ancestors went silent. And is there any advice on picking up a solitary practice and reconnecting to one's spirituality? So Patrick, you want to go first?
Oh yeah, of course. Thank you. Well, I'm really sad to hear about your kindred. And speaking on my own behalf, I've been a solitary practitioner for the greater part of my life, like 95% of that. And going off that, it could be a very low maintenance way of doing things. And it works out great because you run things on your own schedule and your own dependency. You provide everything that you're experiencing for the most part. But with that said, again, speaking as a solo practitioner, it can be very disheartening not having that group of people to celebrate and collect that energy and share that experience.
Yeah, you know, and I've seen two examples where like kindreds or tribes or groups, you know, they dissolve for one reason or another, or the structure of things change, just, you know, due to the winds of change. It's not anything that can be avoided, and everybody's subject to it. Everything is subject to it. So when those winds come through and they sweep, you know, we're all subject to the results of which, right? Sometimes the storm can wipe things out for a reason. And without knowing specifics, without knowing details, you know, it's up, I think, to one individual or the group, if that's the way it's going to be seen, as, you know, what did this storm do for us or for me? You know, did this wind come through and change things to make way for something else that I need to focus on, to sort of wipe the slate clean, you know? Because that can be what it is a lot of times. And when you have something dissolve that you put a lot of effort into, or that a lot of effort was put into, that you felt a part of, you know, to see it come apart at the seams and to watch it dissolve, that can be really, really discouraging. And it can make you feel like you've lost your touch or your connection with the holy, with the sacred, with the divine. I can tell you from experience, Kristen, like I know all too well what that feels like. Now, so Patrick, do you have any, like, have you run into any situations for yourself where there's been something or some things that you particularly find helpful for, as Kristen says, you know, kind of reconnecting and picking up a solitary practice? You've had most of your life to do that in, but I know sometimes we all face, you know, like I say, that little time where things are particularly harsher or rough, and we have to find another. We have to really dig deep. We have to find something to connect with. So, do you have any like suggestions or examples of things that you found helpful for that?
Absolutely, and I appreciate the opportunities. So, me personally, I've gone through a very difficult chapter in my life. So, as a solo practitioner, I've been taking this time to spend time by myself, and more importantly, places that I like to visit out in nature, whether that be hiking trails, a park, a pond, or just out in the woods. That experience can be very healing and very gratifying. So I recommend. What I do is on my days off, I'll look on Google Earth, I'll look by nearby parks, trails, and then I'll set a date and go out there and go explore. But when I do so, I do so with a sense of purpose and reestablishing that connection. And it's very important to keep that mindset when you're undertaking this task. So you have that, at the back of your head, and you go exploring. You perhaps bring an offering and really enhance the sensory experience by maybe bringing some incense and playing some great music. I mean, you can't really go wrong.
Mm.
You could have a certain goal in mind when you get there, but again, just being out in nature, it's
Yeah, it's good medicine. I think that's a good way of putting it. Uh, Being close to the river for me, that's kind of my medicine. I'll go to the river, or I'll go out to the trails nearby or something. If I need to, um, you know, let what messages need to come to me, let them come to me without the noise and everything else that can be kind of surrounding us in our day-to-day lives. So there's that disconnecting from the things that tether us. Turn off your phone, um, leave it in the car. What I mean, you know what I mean, like the technology aspect of things. Kind of go dark a bit to find your light again. Um, and another thing too is like, uh, again, not every situation is the same, but in my situation, what I felt, what I had going on was, the change that happened was the inevitability of the outcome of certain things, right? The behavior of one or more people, right? And then so you have to evaluate, you have to look and go, this wasn't working. The old thing was not being tended to, it wasn't being nurtured, it wasn't being kept alive. And then so if you're not tending to things, if people aren't doing the work, or if it's only one person's vision and it's not a shared vision, if it's not a shared experience like a family, which is what you think of when you hear the word kindred, or when you hear tribe, that's family. That is an extension of the family unit. um, so if the family unit is dysfunctional, then the extensions of such, there's nothing strong for that to have a foundation on, to lay upon. So evaluating that and seeing, okay, well, do we start over? Do we start, something else? It's and some people when that change comes about, realize that the group thing, the kindred thing, it's not what fulfills them. You know what I mean? Some people are just fine and content to be a bit solitary on for the long term. um, I'm not one of them. I'm particularly, I'm okay to be solitary. I'm okay. Like sometimes I need my solitude, right? Um, but I also need that connection with others. I need to have that human experience shared. I need to feel like I'm connected with other people that are also good people. Not to be connected for the sake of being connected, but to be connected with the right people who can help nurture me and I can help nurture them, and we feed each other's fires. You know what I mean? So I guess, like Patrick was saying, Kristen, nature, of course, you're going to hear that answer a lot. I think people that are going to, if you ask 100 people, 100 pagans, a mixed bag of just whoever, that's going to be a recurring answer. You're going to hear that a lot, right? Go back to nature, go out to nature, find, your peace there. And it's true. I would also suggest, that to reconnect to your spirituality, find where your why is. Why do you feel connected to the type of spirituality that you do, whether it's heathenry or whether it's uh, Hellenistic paganism or Celtic paganism or whatever it might be. Whatever you feel connected to, like why do you feel that way? Once you know your why in the world and once you know your purpose in this thing, it's not hard to rekindle it. I had a situation recently, just to kind of throw out another example, where like I didn't get the time to spend at Yule that I like to spend. I didn't have the things going on, the observances, the symbols and the feasting and everything, and I didn't get a chance to do it when I wanted to do it, with the people who I wanted to do it with, and the way that I wanted to do it. And that was very disheartening for me. So instead, later on after the fact, and this came to me as a bit of advice from another dear friend and brother of mine, who said, why don't you revisit that? That's where you find your spirituality. That's where you find your purpose, is observing the heathen ways of your ancestors. So whether or not it's on that specific day with those specific people, recreate it and do it with the people who you are with, And we did that, and it meant more doing it that way than going through the motions, going through the seemingly like obligatory gestures that the first attempt was, because it felt unnatural, it felt forced, and I'm like, what is the point of all this? And the point of it is that for me, it was that the connection I feel with my ancestors, with the gods around that time of year, I wasn't feeling it with the people who I was doing it with anymore. And that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes people figure out other things that they want to go do, and whatever makes them content or fulfilled, with purpose, let them do it. Right. Hello, Wesley. Wesley Curry is commenting on YouTube. Oh, this is great. Hey guys, you want to watch something cool? He says 20 days ago, an angel of Jesus gave you the real bread. Okay, Wesley. Well, you can go on and go somewhere. This is a heathen podcast, my friend. It says Random Heathen Ramblings. So I'm glad that the algorithm found you to comment and to increase the views on things. But if that's what makes you feel fulfilled, Wesley, then go right on ahead and feel fulfilled somewhere else. This is a heathen podcast, and we're talking about heathen things. So that'll be the last time that we see Wesley's name pop up on the screen. I'll just say that. Goodbye and good riddance. So anyway, Kristen, I hope that helped answer your question, and I hope that you find your purpose and don't give up. Let the time that it hurts, right? Because it does hurt. Those things that happen when they happen, it can be very disheartening and it can be tough. Feel those things, right, Patrick?
Absolutely.
You got to feel it. You got it. Those emotions and those feelings are there for lessons. They're there to teach us things.
And being out in nature is the absolute best place to be, to have that experience, in my humble opinion, because there's no judgment. It's just you and the forces around you.
Yeah. Agreed. So feel all the things.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, walking has a huge, health benefits, especially with stress.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean, like I've told people plenty of times, you know, like uh, if you're feeling a certain way, like if you're feeling down, if you're feeling disheartened, or you're feeling, you know, any sort of negative way, get out and put your, you know, granted it's cold this time of year, but put your skin to grass, put your face to dirt, like touch your body to earth, right? Reconnect, feel the life that comes from the mother, you know, from Yord. Um, and whether it's barefoot on the ground or your hands on a tree or, you know, hands in the water or something, like just get out to nature and pause, you know, and stop and just let that be the thing that comforts and heals you. And in minutes, you know, kind of clear your mind, let the troubles and things that affect you negatively, just let them be absorbed into that nature, you know, and then receive back that healing. And it'll comfort you. It'll give you comfort. It'll give you peace. And it's not going to solve the problem for you, but it's going to put you, at least for me, it puts me in a state of mind to work through the difficult things. It puts me in a state of mind that to better withstand, like to better deal with it. I don't know if that's how it works for you, Patrick, but
No, most certainly, without a doubt.
yeah. Um, John says, I can't agree with non-judgmental in nature. The Fae and whites as a bunch of are judgmental pricks. So are the feral cats. Listen, nature is nature. It's not that they're being judgmental. It's that they are doing what they're supposed to do. Nature is
Exactly right.
wild. Nature is uncontrollable, and nature is just going to do what it do. I mean, it's the law of the jungle. It's the law of the mountains. The sea is always right. Doesn't matter what you think, what you want. I mean, it is what it is, and you know, so you're subject to it. We're subject to it when we put ourselves into that space. But we are also nature. We come from that same thing. We are a part of all of that. We are part of the same universe that created everything that we touch and see and experience, and even the things that we don't necessarily see, but that we feel. We feel it because we are it. So there's this involvement. There's this cyclical nature. There's this, you know, we are all descended from the one great being, if you want to look at it that way, right?
It was always there.
Who's always there, who's always been there. And Kristen says she's going to start going out into the woods again, and then she stopped a while ago. Well, I hope it helps. I believe it will. I believe you'll find good things for you there. Earth is healing. People forget. It's a great reminder. Thank you for that, Vegas Trina. Thank you for that. David also says that he's got to get to work, and may the old gods have favor upon you and your kin. Thank you, David, to you as well, sir. Have a good night. Thank you for chiming in and watching for a bit. So this kind of opens up a good segue, Patrick, to really get into deepening our connection, right? And why do we want to deepen our connection with the Vatir, or the spirits of the land? What are some things that, you know, why is it so important to us? Again, finding the why and the purpose of things. Why do we do those types of things to connect or to deepen our connection?
That's part of who we are. This is our Earth. All these creatures, I don't know, we have that separate connection between, you know, humans and the animals, and we're really not that far off, though.
Yeah, you know, I know, and it's I was talking, I think, like last week. I was mentioning how, you know, you look outside or you walk through the woods and you see all these things. You know, you see the rocks, the trees, the earth, the river, the animals that, you know, squirrels, chipmunks, armadillos, deer, turkeys, vultures, herons, right? All of the various creatures that exist in that space. You know, and to anybody else that could just be what they are. It's, you know, it's the trees, it's the rocks, it's the birds, it's the bees, it's the whatever. But for so many of us, you know, we recognize that they are the embodiment of spirit, just like we are an embodiment of spirit. You know, what you see, what we have to show for our physical selves, it's temporary. It's you know, it's our rental. for the week or whatever. You know what I mean? It's this thing that we were put in to live and exist a period of time in this form. But it's not who we are. It's just what people see. So to a lot of us, as heathens especially, but like animistic people that tend to lean into the animistic side of things, whether you're heathen or not, whether you use that term to describe your spirituality or not, it's still an animistic view of the world, because we recognize and believe that there is spirit in all things. So the reason why we wish to strengthen and to deepen our connection is like what Patrick said. It's part of us. It's who we are, and to feel that connection with those beings, it's like a it's like a kinship in a way. I think I used the example of, like, if Patrick, you and I, we're good friends. We talk almost every day to some degree. We're brothers. We have that connection, and that connection established in a way, but it continued and it became what it has because of the reciprocity, because of the gifting cycle, because of this equal exchange, or this constant, cyclical nature of the relationship. And so strengthening our bonds with the other spirits of the land is when we do spend more time with them, when we are around and in their space. Like, that strengthens a bond, I believe, at least, because they're more, they see us, we see them, we're around them, they recognize us. So it's not like a person who became friends with somebody and then 20 years go by and they never speak, and then they pop up again later on, and it's like, oh dang, where have you been, and what have you been up to? It's there's that connection isn't the same, because they haven't also fed that.
When we're experiencing like spiritual disconnection too, a lot of us, including myself at times, would like to seek out the gods. And while that's a great idea, I think you might have mentioned this before too, though, is in some ways that the spirits of the land don't receive as much credit as the gods, as much as they should sometimes. And also, like, I feel like the spirits of the lands are more of like a day-to-day, experience, whereas the gods, typically, from my personal opinion and experience, is during time of celebrations, crisis, holidays, holy tides.
Yep. Well, yeah, that kind of touches on a video, the podcast from a couple of weeks ago, where I talk about the concept of gods of limited access. Because they are divine, because they are sacred, their existence and their presence is different than ours is, because we exist in profane space and time, and the gods exist and function in sacred space and time, and they are also, acting of their own agency. They are not able to be in all places at all times. They so to interact with them, and this is by the way, this is like a very heathen view of things, right? So this is not necessarily the and it's a specific type of heathen view on things, right? So not necessarily speaking on behalf of every heathen out here that may be listening or watching this. Some heathens may not agree or believe in the concept of the gods being sort of limited in how we can access them. But to Patrick's point, with the spirits of the land, they're always around because they exist in the same time and space that we do. And all it takes is a moment to go out and engage with them on the land, in nature. This is a very common way for ancient peoples to think. If the land was doing good, the spirits of the land were happy. If there was turmoil, if the land was not doing good, it was because the spirits of the land were upset, or they were mad, or they were scared, or something right, had disturbed them to the point that the land responded accordingly. So yeah, having those times, like I think Patrick, you're saying, like in crisis or when it's tough, right? You want to reach out to the gods because they are this greater, larger than life figures. You know what I mean? They're so powerful, and they're all the stories about them. You know what I mean? Um,
And there's
and they
something I want to touch on. Sorry to keep cutting you off. I'm horrible talking
no,
tonight. But
go for it.
there's something I want to touch on. I'm going to answer the call of nature really quick here. But I'll be back very soon to touch on that topic.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. I'll catch up on some comments.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Right here. So let's see. John is asking, what is your thought on the notion that the gods may view us as living in sacred space as we view them in the same light? Or would you speculate that they have their own divinity that they revere? It's a good question. I guess I don't think that the gods are I mean, you have, these old gods, we refer to them as, old heathen gods, Odin and Thor and Tyr and stuff. But I think that there's rankings or levels, because then you go back even further, right? Who the gods descended from, the Yot and Ymir and this all these primal or primeval or primordial is the word I'm looking for, primordial beings. So if we had to think if there was a divinity that divinity also reveres, I don't think that that's really how it works. But you know I don't think that the gods see us as the same as we see them. They are the gods. They are maybe not eternal, but they have a much higher life. They have a longer life. They have much more power with everything that we know about them. I don't think what we can deduce is that they are seeing us in the same time or the same space as we see them. Maybe they have a view of their descendants, who they came from, the primordial forces like Ymir and Angerboda and these other Sutur and some of these primordial forces that the gods come from as their ancestors. But that's how I think. I mean, that's me personally, how I think they would view them as their ancestors. So, in a much similar way as we would look to our ancestors for strength, perhaps, and this is all speculative. This is all UPG, So yes, it is an opinion or a thought, but the notion that the gods view us living in sacred space, no, I think they are higher than us. I think they outrank us in that way, and that they know that their time is sacred time, their space is sacred space, and ours is not. We are on Midgard. They are not in the way that we are. Not in the same sort of way. Patrick, you're back now, so we'll get to Michael's question, and then we'll come back to the topic there. Michael says, do you think that building a coal forge in a vey, do you think that building a coal forge in a vey could provide any benefit? I've been thinking of this as a way to try and dedicate my amateur blacksmithing to the gods, but I know that the land spirits, and he puts another comment, says, dislike worked metals. Yeah, I mean, let's see what else he says. I probably wouldn't actually build the forge. I've weighed the cost, weighed the cons many times, and never have seen enough benefit myself. I mean, it really just depends on what you're going for, Michael. I think a coal forge. You got to think. What is a vey? A vey or a herger or a sacred grove, these are all terms that indicate that is a place that we go to enter sacred time and space. It is a place for ritual. It is a place for ritual work. It is a place to, um, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, right? Sacred spaces are locked doors, and the ritual that we perform is the combination to that locked door. So the locked door on the other side gives us access to the gods and sacred time and space and all of that. And if we're not doing anything in that space that consists of the ritual work, you're basically just fumbling with a key or trying to enter a combination that doesn't match. So in my mind, when I think of putting anything in a vey, it is for the sole purpose to facilitate the ritual work that takes place there. The right ritual work, the combination to that lock, as it were. So, I mean, maybe if the vey was a dedication to Thor himself, you know, and sort of got the Thor being, you know, the god that is most associated with blacksmiths and the forge and all of that, and everything that was done in that vey was a dedication and was ritual to invoke Thor, then the coal forge would probably be one of the most powerful things you could put in that space. If you know your vey is a mixed thing to connect with all of the gods, both Aesir and Vanir, I don't know how well that would fit. Again, you know, don't you don't have to take my word for it, but if you're asking, you know, my thoughts or opinions, I think knowing what the purpose of the vey is and what it's intended for is, again, it's sacred space. Its design is to be the place that the people can go to access the holy and get access to the holy. So if the things that are being put into the vey facilitate that and can work towards that, then that's all well and good. Because, you know, we don't know all of what things were involved or included in groves, sacred groves. There might be some old laws that prohibit certain items, you know, metal maybe being one of them. I can't quote for sure a source. I feel like I've heard that somewhere. I just don't know where, and I don't want to go on record as saying that's for sure, but it's possible, and I would have to look more into it to know if that's a thing. But yeah, there's my answer to that. I hope I answered it well.
I can't speak on his behalf, but that's a pretty great answer. And upon that, I know I had a point I wanted to make.
Yeah.
But I actually have a question for you. So, I don't have a set here, a place of divinity. Like, I have a tree in my backyard I go to make offerings and, you know, to celebrate the spirits of the land and my own backyard. But what if I have a sacred place, for example, the place that I've been visiting more times than I care to count in the last week alone.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a place that I know I can perform rituals, but this is a public park.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that's maybe not advised, or what are your opinions on that? Because honestly, like I wanted to share, and I have shared with you this last couple of weeks, is this place. This is where I find my divinity and my inspiration. Whether it be I'm feeling happy, inspired, sad, depressed, or seeking inspiration. Again, it's that kind of place for me. But it's very unconventional.
Right. Yeah, that's so much of what we find now and today, right? It's non-traditional, it's unconventional. It's oh man, you know, I've maintained an opinion for the longest time that having ritual, right, bloat or any sort of official thing like that in a public space is, I don't want to say like it can't be done. I just, with the way that our world is set up and how diverse everything is, I don't know how effective having a public space which is accessible to hundreds, if not thousands, of people a year, how one can maintain the idea of a sacred grove under those conditions. What I do think, however, is that because of nature being as what it is and as sacred as what it is, and how we are part of nature, right? We can provide our offerings. We can connect with spirit. We can do things that give us that fulfillment as spiritual beings wherever we find ourselves. It can be at the ocean, it can be at a public park, it can be in the woods, 50 miles off the beaten path. I don't think that we are quite so limited to those conditions or those outliers for such things as I'm talking about, right? Connecting with spirit and the divinity that kind of exists within all of us, that the spirit that is us. I think if you're taking it through it from a Germanic heathen lens, right, that the grove, the vey, the space, it needs to be set in a place that can be properly kept and maintained as sacred space. Free of disruption from outside forces that don't have any interest or investment in it. And I know there's a lot of work that's been done over the years by different groups and people that want to host or hold public events that involve a ritual or include a ritual. And I think it's great. It's a great gesture. I think it's beautiful to, a lot of times when you get to see some of the things set up, Midgardsblot over in Norway every year. They really pull it off. Like they get the god poles with the blood, and they do what it looks like to be a really authentic looking bloat or ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many people that are there. Again, I'm not an authority on it. I just, again, in my opinion, and I wouldn't turn down on the offer or the chance to go and participate and see something like that, but I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did.
You did. But
and I kind of already have my own answer, and the places specifically have in mind will be saved for special occasions, but not on a regular basis. And I know I have places very near to my house available to me to set as such a sacred, space for myself that I could actually tend. But also, your answer makes perfect sense too, because you have such diverse energies, and not a lot of them are probably not going to play to our advantage. I mean, you have various walks of life. You have people who have families. You have Christians. You have all walks of life walking this path, and you have people who have reference for the creatures around, and there are people who walk on hikes who don't have that reference, that throw away trash, for example, just seeing wrappers, water bottles, soda can. It's like, come on, you're coming out here to hike. You got to have some level of appreciation and reverence for this place that you're enjoying and experiencing.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is because everything is you said that it's the diversity and how things may not mix or play well with each other. I go right, like there's, at least with a heathen vey or a heathen grove, right, like that it's for our doing bloat to the heathen gods. It's not just some public like you walk into, and I hate to use these examples, but you've ever been to these old metaphysical stores where they got this little altar set up, and it's like every Tom, Dick, and Harry is in there. You got Athena, you got Zeus, you got Buddha, you got a statue of Frey or whatever, and it's like
You have
what is
statues of Mary and Jesus too.
yeah, right? They got a crucifix on the, you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
chaotic. It's very
yeah, it's
disruptive.
wild. And I guess go, man, all right, kind of,
It's almost too much to be around, really, because it's like you're in a melting pot, quite literally. You
yeah,
have
so yeah,
the Egyptian
yeah,
pantheon over here, Greek, Christian. Like, what's
yeah,
going on?
right, yeah. So I don't know, like maybe that's just my, um, maybe that's just me in the sense that I think that heathenry is heathenry, right? And let's keep it such, and let's try to preserve those traditions as what they are, and let's not mix the waters up too bad. Let's understand, how syncretism is, and that there's things that come from different cultures that have informed and have helped build traditions, right? But when we know that is heathen tradition, let's build off of that, and
Want
let's
to
just
keep it refined and specific rather than
yeah,
diluted and just
right.
mixed together. Yeah, that makes
That's kind of
perfect
my
sense.
take on it.
Because one of my closest friends, she's very eclectic, and I
Mm,
love that, respect that very much. And there's times I've told you too, where I had my interest into my heritage into the Celtic gods. I'm like, how do you feel about me trying to get my attention to the Norse gods, the Celtic gods? And it took a couple weeks, and I'm like, this is just too much. I mean, you have your inspirations, you have your deities who you've already established a connection with. And I feel like, and again, to each their own. Some people could pull this off. Me personally, I couldn't. It's just
hmm
when you have your daily practice, you're gaining inertia. You're creating rituals. A lot of the rituals we do, like waking up, making that pot of coffee, or waking up, going on that hike, or it goes on and on and on. But when you keep doing it, it just gains that energy, that momentum.
hmm
And with that momentum carries that weight and that power
Sure.
that you gain by doing it so very much. But then sometimes it becomes repetitive, boring, and then sometimes you just want to switch it up and explore other options.
Mm. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like having those individual practices, the things that I've talked before, like hearth cult, individual cultic practices, the things that you do that are unique to your spirituality. It doesn't have to be quote unquote heathen or pagan or whatever. It's just what Patrick does, or what Jesse does, or what Michael does, or whoever does. You know what I mean? It's with a purpose, and it's our way of connecting with spirit, or connecting with our ancestors, or doing what it takes for us to feel fulfilled in that way. And then that's everybody should have that. Even heathens. Every heathen home, I think, is whether it's a one person home or a 3 or 4 person family or whatever, right? Those practices, those traditions, those ways of doing things are unique to that family, to that person, and it should be preserved as such. Yeah. What does John have to say here? Problem is, there in America, people get squeamish when it comes to bloat, and a lot of people in public would crap over everything because they're morons and are usually just trying to grass stand, and they would have no respect for it. And I've tried doing public rituals each time; they failed miserably. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I mean, I've gone to a couple of things that were staged as a public event. I don't want to say stage like that it was like it was available to the public. This is what it is. This is everybody knew what it was.
Organized.
Yeah, but it was not closed off to the kindred or the tribe that hosted it. You know what I mean? Like they have their own closed off things that only their members can participate in. But then they have, an open or public thing that other people can come and be a part of. And those types of things, because they were well ordered and well structured, and everybody knew what it was that we're engaging in and partaking in, that ritual went off well, and those rituals go off well. So I said, everything being kind of, you gotta, I guess, there's no one universal answer. I think when it comes to like really big major things, it's tough to maintain that sense of holiness to the ritual when you've got people that are coming in that don't understand it. They don't have the sense of understanding what it means to set sacred space and to establish sacred space. They don't understand what that means. So when they come and they're just, oh, I just wanted to see what it's like. You know, their heart's not in it. They're not coming to experience the true meaning of it. They're just kind of there to, well, you know, this piqued my interest. Let's see what it's like. So I think in that way, it's you know, doesn't measure up quite so well.
And sometimes it's necessary to have that kind of experience, to have that appreciation for when you have that designated, you know, sacred space, place that you could actually hold your ceremonies with, you know, without any outside influences.
I mean, hell, I've been at some rituals that, like, again, they were you could feel the presence of the gods. At least I could, or what I felt was the presence of the holy. And then there were others where it was like, this just feels fake. It doesn't feel right. You know, it doesn't feel the intensity or the degree of which that felt was different. So, you know, you're not going to get the same experience every single time. You know, let's kind of being realistic and being fair. You know, you're not going to have the same experience at ritual twice. You know,
well, it's like, sorry, it's just like going to a Highland ritual. I've been to 5. Never one is the same. Never.
Yeah.
You know, like my first time, it's funny. They're off in the crowd. They're like this big. And despite them being so far away, I was like, I'm there. It's my first ritual. I'm loving it. And there's other rituals, you know, just have people saying unsavory things, or people who are clearly invited by a friend who are wearing like a Slayer shirt. And you're like, what is going on right now? It's just like,
right. Nothing wrong with Slayer either, you know.
No, don't get me wrong. I love Slayer. You know, this is not when I'm enjoying a ritual. But then again, you meet people who are on your level, and sometimes you talk to them afterwards, and you establish a connection that you never imagined possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I think I'm ready to get to my point. Whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right?
Yeah, let's go.
So, and just FYI to you, Jesse, and anyone who's watching, I've been struggling talking because I keep hearing my voice coming back each time I talk. So it's like disrupting my concentration greatly. I'm just like,
Oh, damn. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine. But speaking on my behalf again, when we have established that connection to the spirits of the land, we see it anytime we go outside, and that's just such a beautiful experience. You know, like there's times I'm driving out to one of my parks or one of my hikes, and on the way I just see like a red-tailed hawk flying over, or just perched above, just kind of looking at me, or just the other day I went to Random Park and I had a very special encounter. It's the first time I'm telling you, actually, Jesse. But so one day I was just feeling out of sorts and I didn't know what to do. I'm like, you know what? I'm off for the rest of the evening. I'm going to go to Random Park, and, you know, if I see some deer, some hawks, cool, whatever. And I got in there. I was there for a good deal of time. I started to feel discouraged. And I'm just like, man, I felt weak, felt vulnerable. I'm just like, man, I just thought out loud, like, I just want to see some deer or a hawk. And then I turn over, I see 2 deer, and I see a hawk fly right in front of the deer. I was speechless.
Wow. Yeah, dude, those moments when, you know, it's like, okay, you know, that moment was going to happen with or without me being there, but it did happen with me being here. or you know what I mean? Like, this could have happened and you couldn't have been there, but you were there. So it makes it even more special, to be in their presence when they're doing their thing, when they're embraced in the moment, when they're,
And it's just like, again, engaging with that appreciation for our earth, the trees, the setting of the sun, the rising of the moon. It's when you find the beauty in these things, life becomes so much more enriching. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be plenty of times that sometimes I walk outside, I see an amazing moon, I'm like, all right, I'll have to go back inside. And other times it's just like, wow, really standing in awe.
Yeah. Yeah, like, let me just stop here and appreciate this moment in time, because we get so engrossed in other crap that it distracts us from just the realness, the beauty of things, the beauty of nature, the beauty of our home, of ourselves, and it's there's beauty in darkness, there's beauty in the rough times too, because when you see nature being brutal, when you see things that are scary sometimes, or that that cause you to respond in fear or in alarm, or there's beauty in that too, because that's part of it, that's part of all of it, and it's like, I can't you can't just take the bright and sunshiny days, you know what I mean? You can't just think that that's all of what it is. It's sometimes the storm is raging hard and it doesn't seem like it's going to let up, and that's part of it.
And what's really beautiful too, though, is you have these natural disasters that occur, and it's downright horrible. Like those storms that pass, like last year on Farther Mountain. You see all these places that are just devastated, and you see the outreach of the communities,
right?
Really sacrificing, offering everything that they can. It's just that sense of community after such a travesty, whether that be, again, via storms or personal afflictions. Like Jesse, I've been going through a messed up time, and seeing you, our tribe, my friends, my family out reaching out to me, helping me. It's a horrible time, but just seeing all these people. And when I'm going on my hikes by myself, when I feel lost, I'm really not lost. I have so much around me, and a lot of those forces are not necessarily with me physically. They are most certainly there spiritually.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, that's these, and because we feel on so many levels, right? We can connect and feel connected and feel engaged and feel a part of these things, whether they're visible to the naked eye or not. They're still there, and we feel them in different ways. And it's whether it's standing there and feeling the I don't know, have you ever had like moments where you just like feel something and there's nothing really around for you to explain or give a logical reason why you felt that particular thing?
Yes. Going back to my hikes that I've been going on again, is the one time I know I told you about. I went to the Dogwood and Woodbine Trail. I finished both the trails, and that's like 3 hours of hiking, and I got what I wanted, but I didn't, and I couldn't explain why. I just felt this real deep sense of appreciation and connection to the earth, and I've been there for a while. But just something told me, just like, keep walking. You're meant to be here. You need to heal. It's like, I almost felt like the land was like telling me, like, Patrick, no. Yeah, you think you got what you came for, but you need to be here just a little bit longer.
Right. Yeah. We're not done with you yet.
Exactly. And I hope that was relevant to what you're
Yeah,
aspect
yeah,
of it.
exactly. I've had those moments on the trail, or and the trail will do that. I think, going out on hikes, anything that's, several miles long, your endurance is going to be tested. Um, your will, your spirit is going to be tested on the trails, and you have to dig deep sometimes, man. Sometimes it's a tough trail, and your physical body wants to give up. Your spirit is going to drive you. Your spirit's going to push you, and it teaches such a valuable lesson, because that's life. That's life, man. Sometimes you just don't want to get up out of bed. Sometimes you don't want to get up and get dressed. Sometimes you don't want to take a shower. Sometimes you don't want to do the physical things that you need to do, but your spirit says, do it anyway. I do it anyway. Doesn't matter if I'm sad. Doesn't matter if I'm mad. Doesn't matter if I'm depressed, obsessed. I do it anyway.
And a
And
lot of times, when we're in that mindset, for example, sometimes you don't want to go for a hike or hang out with a friend or anything like that. You find yourself when you force yourself to do it when you're not feeling like you want to do it. It's very beautiful all about the times afterwards. Like, wow, why didn't I do that? Why was I so scared to do that? Like, oh, come on,
yeah,
I need to do that again.
right. What have I been waiting for?
It's just, again, like sometimes we get too comfortable with feeling like, not feeling sad. It's okay to feel sad, but
Yeah,
sometimes you need someone to, like, hey, it's okay to feel sad, but come on, come back to
yeah,
us. Come back to
yeah.
us.
Come back. Sorry to just say here, Christine is gonna go. She said she's feeling sleep coming on, and she said good night to both of us, and thanks for the advice. You're welcome, Kristen. Thanks for asking, first of all, and putting
Thanks for
yourself
stopping
out.
by too.
Yeah, thanks for giving us something to think about, to talk about, because you're right, Patrick. I think it's easy for, well, I don't think, I mean, it is. It's easy for all of us to um, get absorbed in those emotional traps. You know what I mean? It's like it sucks us in. You know, when we're feeling down, for a lot of people, when we're down, and there's no coming up. It seems, like we're just, and if
You're in
all
for the
we're
ride.
there, yeah, if all that we're doing is just there in ourselves thinking about it. But then you got, like you say, you got those people that love you and care for your family, your friends and stuff, that are like, hey, get up, stand up, dust yourself off. Let's do something, right? What can I do to get your mind off of this thing? And it's not to try to, again, it's not, I don't think that those gestures are intended to be um like distracting from what you're feeling. It's more of a, like,
Reminder.
yeah, like, this isn't forever. Like, you're feeling this way, it is what it is, but hey, like, there's other things too. There's other stuff too, and um if we're only ever just, because, man, life can really throw some shit at us. Nobody's exempt. We're all gonna feel it from time to time. um and just how we deal with it is really what matters. I like to think of that one line um from the Lord of the Rings, where Frodo has the ring, and it's a burden, and it
I love this
sucks,
quote.
and he can't handle it. He's like, I wish that this thing had never come to me. I wish none of this had ever happened. And Gandalf says, and so do all who live to see such times. And that's not for us to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
I love that line so much.
you know and it resonates in real life. Yes, it sucks. Yes, I hate this. Yes, it makes me sad. Yes, I'm upset. Yes, I don't want to do all of these things. Well, you're not alone. you know you might be feeling it a different way than the next person, but you're not alone in what you're feeling. So what do you do with that? you know Even the smallest things can change the course of the future. All it takes is that one step. It starts with that one step. It might seem like a big thing to have to overcome in the grand scheme of things, but hey, it starts with one step. Work towards that goal. Know what that goal is and start working towards it. If you have to chip away at it, if you have to crawl towards it, if you have to fall down a little bit along the way, but at least, advance, push, the goal at the end of it is worth it. And then when you reach that goal, you're better conditioned and you're better ready to withstand the next thing that comes along, because there's going to be something else. It's just the way it is. I've had a lot of chances to reflect on my life as a young person growing up into adulthood, into the man that I am now, and even still the man that I'm becoming as I'm growing. Reflecting upon the last 40 years of my life and what I can remember and where I can remember things from, and seeing and being a part of another person's life who is entering into their adulthood years, being a father figure, a mentor to a young man who is becoming a man, and is having to learn things about life that are life, and I go, man, I was that kid once, and I had men in my life that helped me learn some things and get prepared. And that's now the task is upon me. And I ask for it, right? No. I didn't ask for this. I didn't
You're
want
getting
this,
the opportunity and you're seizing it.
but I got it given to me. So what are you going to do with it, Jesse? What are you going to do with this gift that has been given to you? Are you going to shrug it off as it no big deal and no, I didn't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it? Or are you going to man up? Are you going to step up to this situation? And I'm choosing that, even if it means some other things that I would rather be doing. Maybe, my personal desires and this and that aren't getting met elsewhere. Like you've got other things to be focused on now, and that's what it means to serve. That's what it means to lead by deed. It's what's good for others. It's what's good for the rest. It's might be tough for the individual doing it. It might be tough, but you push through because everybody else is more important. So it's selflessness, But yeah, it doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that there aren't days that I go, man, you got to be kidding me,
Well, actually, I
don't like this.
One question for you. Since we're speaking of the spirits of the land, Jesse, for myself and the viewers, right now, do you find yourself reconnecting with your spirit and the spirits of the land? If so, where and why?
Yeah, can you repeat that? Because you kind of you
I'm
lost.
sorry. Yeah, I'm
lost
sorry. Yeah,
connection.
smoking a cigarette here. So yeah, just my question is, Jesse, for myself and the viewers, is there a place nearby your house or where you live that you find yourself gravitating to find reconnection with your spirit and the spirits of the land? If so, why?
Sure.
Or where? Why?
Oh yeah. I mean, Stones River, man. Like Stones River is practically in my backyard, and the West Fork of the Stones River, particularly. Patrick, you've been in that river with me a couple of times.
Yes, indeed.
And and then the trails and stuff nearby, like the battlefield, some of the trails around the Stones River battlefield in there. And good evening to Randy Royce, another heathen in the Middle Tennessee area, Clarksville based. Hail and welcome to you there, Randy. Thanks for joining. But yeah, the river has been a big part of my spirituality. My practices have involved connecting with the spirit of the river, um, and especially the spirit of the heron. The heron has been kind of my philia, the one that follows and goes before me. Um, in my ritual practices, I embody, I take on the form of the heron for my deep, deep spiritual work. When I need to go, when I need to be somewhere, when I need to be outside of myself in a way, the heron is what carries my hummer. You know, that part of myself that leaves, or the hugger, the part of that self, the part of the self that leaves the physical shell. Um, and so that's where. But in terms of why that is, it's. I think it was always in me. It was, I grew up near the water. I grew up near waterways. I, was a lot of my native indigenous ancestry is rooted in the marshlands of the Potawatomi and which are Algonquin Nation, First Nation folks. But the being here near the river, it feels like home. And a lot of my private spiritual work involves being in the river, to some degree, whether I'm wading it, whether I'm immersed in it, and it didn't matter. It doesn't matter the time of year. I've been out in that river when it's 100 degrees outside. I've been out in that river when it's 30 degrees outside. It's like my life. So that's why it feels so right for me to be connected, and to find that connection in the river. It's not a fair weather thing. It's again, I've been out in there when it's been pouring down rain, icy rain, snow, almost, thunderstorms, heat waves. I was in there when I had COVID, like, it doesn't matter. It's just a big part of my life.
Well, thank you for answering that. I love that. And I'm hoping you're asking me the same thing.
Yeah, okay, what about you?
Jesse.
Same question.
Jesse. Oh, man. Battler State Park, without a doubt. Going back in time, about a week or so ago, again, I suffered a personal setback, if you will, and Jesse, I go to Reverend Park, the Pine Spot. Been going there a lot, and one day I'm just like looking on Google Maps, like, this place looks okay, and a little too far. Oh, this place looks all right. And then Battler State Park, I've seen it before, but then I'm like, you know what? Sure, it's on the way to the other place I usually go, and I went there, and I had some expectation, but nowhere to what I walked into. And again, this park has so many trails. Well, I say so many. There's so let me walk you through this. So there's the Woodbine Dogwood Trail in the same parking lot, and they have the Virginia Day Memorial Trail. I discovered while walking the Dogwood Trail. And then there's the Esquin Trail. I told you a lot about that. Tell you more about that later on afterwards. It'd take too long to go into that one. But and then there's the Pay Trail. And it's just going here. It's just so cool to discover the place that have so many different places you can go to. You have places where there's a nature educational center where you can walk a couple trails. And you have little trees that have little plaques that tell you what kind of trees they are. I'm like, wow, that's really cool, because when you see these plaques, like, you're walking other trails, like, oh, I know what that's a dogwood tree or such and such. It's
Right.
educational, it's fun, it's immersive. You see so many different birds. And I've seen deer 2 times, which is cool, but I've seen a lot of, like, birds of prey. I've seen hawks. I've seen one bird that looks like a falcon, but again,
Mm,
it's when I first came here towards the beginning, when I first discovered this place, I was not in a good headspace, but I'm like, I need to be here, and I had joked about this with my parents and my friends. I'm like, I'm falling in love with the fucking park. Like, what the hell's going on?
yeah.
It's just after coming here so many times, it just really felt this uncanny, never expected sense of connection. It just, I feel like my great spirit, the gods, were just kind of like, hey, this is why you're here. This is where you need to find a greater part for healing when you're doing your nature walks, to find yourself, to really immerse not only in my struggles, but to not to face my struggles per se, but understand them. And
Yeah.
that's something that could be overlooked sometimes when we're struggling, is like, you want to face it, you want to conquer, you want to get over it.
Mm,
Believe you me, like when we're sick, boy howdy, I tell you what, when we get the flu, why is it always when it's nice outside? I'm like, come on. Like, it's like that switch of weather though, thankfully, I'm all right now with this drastic temperature change, but geez, like, it's just,
yeah.
yeah, like with those struggles, you just want to fast forward this stuff. But
Right.
no, it's sometimes you just kind of like, again, that's where the waters get a little muddy. And you're like, well, you spend so much time trying to understand it, and then sometimes you're looking too deep into the abyss, and that's where things go awry. And sometimes you might need somebody, or some occasions that you need to have a necessary reminder to be like, okay, you've done your work in understanding it, or trying to at least. And sometimes you got to get back to the fold. You have to get back to who and what has made you the man or woman or whatever title you choose to carry to be who you are.
Yeah. Oh man, I think it's constant work. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that was Randy saying that the river has to be cold right now. Oh, trust me, buddy, it is. It is. We've had enough sub freezing uh, teens and 20s and single digit nights where these little 60-degree days don't do nothing to warm the river up. Um, but and let me just catch John's thing real quick. So I know that the
Of course.
waters here in the South Louisiana are right now, but everything under 75 degrees is chilly to us. Yeah, you're yeah, you're not built for the cold. But to that point, like Patrick, you're talking about like facing things, and sometimes you've got to, have those reminders, whether it's a person or people or something, to be like, I gotta get back to snap out of it in a way, like I can't stay here. I can't stay in this darkness. I can't stay in this thing. Who's to say how long enough really is? But facing those hard things, that this is why I love ordeal, right? Putting ourselves through suffering with a purpose. The cold plunges, the sweat lodges, the things that put us in an uncomfortable state of existence, because it alters our reality, it alters our consciousness, it puts us in a frame of mind where you have to dig deep to get through it, right? You're not gonna, if you commit and say, I'm gonna stay in this cold ice bath for 3 minutes, let me tell you something. 15 seconds feels like an eternity, and you want to be done with it, but you gotta dig deep, you gotta push through, and you gotta, you know yes, there's conditioning. And what does conditioning mean? Conditioning means you don't go full bore 3 minutes right off of the rip. It means you train, you condition yourself. You go 15 seconds one day, and then the next day you do 30, and the next day you do 45, and a minute, and this and that, and then you build up, right? So my point is that you go in, right? You do the work, and then you come back, and then you go in again, and you come back, and you go in again. And the more time you spend in that conditioning, the more the ordeal that you're faced with, the more conditioned you are to really get into the meat and potatoes of things. So sure, right? You may feel like you've been, dealing with this thing for however long. Well, maybe you've gotten everything out of it that you need to right now, and staying there is just going to stagnate. it's not going to provide any more growth. So let me come back. Let me take a lesson that I picked up from this experience, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to apply it. And then I'm ready to go back in again, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time, and I'm going to dig deeper and analyze some of the more, minuscule things, the more finite things, right? And really do some more digging. And then you come back. You don't stay there. You come back. It's, we go to the gym to work out, and then we come back and we apply the strengths that we've obtained through working out in our day-to-day lives. And we go and we engage with our spirit in nature for those times in solitude where we need to receive a lesson, we need to receive that medicine, and then we come back and we apply the things in our day-to-day lives. And then when the thing that caused us to feel that way pops up again, we're able to manage it. We're able to better deal with it. Why? Because we've gone through that ordeal. We've been conditioned to do so. And it's a constant thing. It doesn't just end. When it ends, this physical shell has expired. And then we got another stage. We have another layer. We have another form of existence to meet and to go through. And who knows what that's like. Yeah, but wait, there's more. Let's see it. Michael Thacker says, it might be the whiskey and the rum tonight, but it seems that just about everything I've wanted to ask for the last 30, 40 minutes, you two have started bantering on. It's hit me in a good way. Well,
that's awesome.
That's what's up, man. That's what these live streams are for. I like
that.
I like the real-time interaction. I like the real-time responses, because I never know. I can look at an analytics page on how much my podcast is engaging people or this or that, but that doesn't really tell me much of anything real. This is real to me. Having the real-life interactions, the real-time interactions, I should say,
and I want to share something, too, on that note, with all the listeners now. I mean, Jesse, you're already aware of this. So listeners, tonight, I was feeling a certain kind of way this evening. Lost my struggles and setbacks and just in my rut. And Jesse just gave me the invitation, and I took some time to really not only understand how I'm feeling, but also seizing an opportunity. And like I mentioned earlier in this stream, is sometimes when we push ourselves to step outside of our comfort zone, that wasn't really comfort zone, but I was like, complacent, and coming out of that shell, that mindset has done me a lot of good. More importantly is this, again, like we were talking about just now, is this coming back to the fold, coming back to, where we need to be, and like, again, we'll all come back, again, speaking collectively, all of us who are struggling, because we all are in some way or shape or form. But sometimes, we got to get back to it eventually. But for now, our batteries are charged. Let's, persevere. And, whether that be a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, hey, progress is progress, and it's not a race. It's at our own pace. This is something it's easy to fall into those snares, not to go on a tangent or anything, but, society has expectations and is shown on social media. And though we share our personal experiences and plights, it's very unfair in the grand scheme of things. And when it gets political, again, Jesse, you, my Ken, and my family know I'm very unmotivated and uninterested, because there's too many things in our practices that can be corrupted by that. But I'm not going to touch on that too much, because we're having our energy and all that, not to get it polluted by that. But
yeah, no, hey, look, I do want to say, man, not everybody knows what's going on in the background with this, and the fact is that I hit you up on a random, hey, I'm doing this in 2 hours. You want to join me? You were in a space, you were doing your thing, and I said, look, man, no pressure, right? It's your choice. I also gave you some things to say. I gave, some things to think about. I said some things out of love, and I'm like, hey, it's your choice. And I wouldn't have thought one way or the other about you, brother, that if you didn't show up tonight, it wouldn't have changed anything. But I got to say, the fact that you're here and that you took the time and you wanted to, it was your choice. Yeah, it was your choice. I didn't make you do this. You chose this, and I'm glad you chose this. I think you've brought a lot and contributed a lot to the stream, to the broadcast, to the podcast for this week. This is kind of like, I like to think this is almost like a monthly touch base, where people get a chance to hear from Patrick too, as much as they hear from me, because you're contributing to this whole thing as well. And I'm really proud of you for reaching a point that you decided you wanted to be here. It's great, and I appreciate it. So thank
Well,
you.
I appreciate it in equal parts, if not greater, in some regards. Just, it's very nice to have people who are there to challenge me, because I feel like we're in a society a lot of times that people compliment how you're feeling, more so to the level they don't want to get involved. And again, no judgment given from that point. Because again, we all have separate lives to live. We have things that we talk about and a lot of things we don't talk about, and rightly so. But again, it's just nice to have those challengers like you and, some other individuals as well. It just really, again, sometimes like we're in that dark space. Sometimes we're struggling to keep our head above water, and sometimes we start sinking, and we need that hand to immerse itself. And when a hand is coming from above, a situation above you, but oftentimes those hands that are coming down are also submerged as well in our hardships and, even our endeavors. Sometimes we're trying to figure something out, whether it be a new job, a new hobby. It's tricky.
Oh, for
And
sure.
sometimes, we're so enraptured in the idea of doing something right. It's like, well, it's like I told you with group chats. It's like, man, I'm not talking about anything. I'm just like scared to say anything, and I'm scared to come back to this because like I feel like I'm not doing a good job. Well, if I'm not really doing a good job, quote unquote, it would have been addressed, but it wasn't. It's just
Yeah. Well, I like the fact, like you say, it's a hand coming down to lift you up, and sometimes those hands need to pick up more than other times, right? Sometimes you need a bigger leg up. Other times, that hand, that gesture, is more of a presence to be like, hey man, I'm here. But also, you need to be here. Stand up, get up. I'll help you up, but you got to put the work in, man. You got to stand on your own 2 feet here. Like, I'm here to support you. I'm not here to do it for you. Sometimes there's that need to, I got to carry you. You know what I mean? Other times it's more of just that emotional support, that psychological support, the spiritual support is. I've had times too, man, where I've been carried more than I've walked. For a stretch. Sometimes I just didn't have it in me, and I needed to break down, and I needed to just be vulnerable. I needed to bear it all and just be like, I can't right now. And I had people in my life, and still do, who understood that and realized that I was having that moment where I needed to be, it's the thing about love. It's the thing about compassion, is understanding when to apply the pressure and when to let off. It's a delicate balance. Compassion is, I feel, because there's that tendency sometimes when you feel like, I know they've got it in them, it's in there, right? And you want to see them do it, and then that's not what they need. That's not what's needed at the time. It's a softer approach. We are. We're all experiencing different things at different times, and it's good to have people in our lives that know each other, that know one another, that know what is needed, right?
or even ideas, like earlier, going back to earlier in the podcast, like the one person, I forgot her name, but practicing alone.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah,
we need those ideas, or the one gentleman mentioning the forge. I mean, I don't know heathenry and paganism or Norse paganism as well as you, but I felt in my mind you were saying a lot. What I was thinking is like, if you feel a strong pull or urge to do something, do it. You shouldn't ignore that call. Like going on my hikes. Going back to that, I told you about the 6 mile hike. Again, I'm still trying to figure out this trail because it's not super familiar with me, but it's something that, if you feel a call to do something to change, your practices or your hobbies, your career path, don't ignore that call. Or you hear you're feeling a certain way, you get a reminder or several reminders from a loved one, a best friend. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling again. It's just, but yeah, don't get too complacent. Because just like the seasons, like I thought spring would arrive much sooner than it has, but hey, it's running its course. Damn
Yeah,
it.
dude, it's hell. It's still February, still like a little
Yeah,
bit, you know.
I told my friends, like, oh,
We-
I guess this is the last snow of this. Nope, I'm done talking now. We're done here. Patrick the time out now, Missouri. So sorry,
yeah,
Missourians.
yeah,
I said it.
yeah. Hell, man, we could still get a wicked snow in March, you know.
I'm okay with March, but April, especially later in April around my birthday, if I get snow, I'm gonna cry because I'm already prepared for spring by that point.
Well, as long as it doesn't snow next month when I'm in North Carolina for the Viking experience, that would be
I
cool.
so wish I could join you there, brother, but money is funny with many
Yeah,
of us.
yeah. Which, by the way, for those folks that don't know, Oxford, North Carolina, the weekend of March 22nd and 23rd. Um, I'll be there at the Viking Experience. You can find out more at thevikingexperience.com. But it is an annual event. This year they're doing it 2 weekends, so 22nd and 23rd, and then the weekend after that. So they're doing it 2 weekends, end of March. But I will be there the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd with a tent or a canopy, whatever you want to call it, providing rune reading services. And you can find out more on my social media pages on Facebook and Instagram. I think I posted something on my YouTube channel as well. But when this comes out, and for the audio platform listeners like Spotify and stuff, if you're interested and want to find out more, there'll be information linked in the podcast show notes. But again, I will be there 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday in Oxford, North Carolina. You can buy your tickets at thevikingexperience.com, and then I will be there on those grounds to provide rune reading services. So if you're in the area and you want to come out to the Viking Experience, there's a lot of great things going on there. A lot of cool vendors, a lot of just really cool things that I've seen. This is my first time experiencing it or going to this event, but from what I've seen in the past, it's going to be an awesome, good time. Even if you just come by my tent and say hi, grab a picture, tag me on your socials, whatever, it would be cool to see you.
And Jesse, I had a question for you too.
Mm.
So many of your viewers may or may not have the opportunity to get a rune reading from you, but as far as rune sets go, if you don't mind sharing, do you have any rune sets in mind you're going to bring to the Viking experience?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to be making any to sell. Just be providing my services of reading runes, and I have one set of runes that I use for readings that I do publicly. So I mean, I have multiple sets of runes, but I have the one set that I use to. Looks like Patrick dropped for a second. He'll be back, I'm sure, or hopefully. But yep, here he comes. Let's bring him back on here. Here you are.
Yeah, I was like, what happened there?
Yeah, you dropped for a second. But I was saying is, I'm not going to make any rune sets to bring or sell. I'm just offering my services. But the rune set that I use for that is the same set that I use for my patrons on Patreon for public readings that I do. It's the maple wood set from a branch of a tree from our tree in our yard here that we had to trim and prune up some years ago. So I have a rune set that I use for that, and it's my set. Nobody else uses it.
That's
but I
awesome.
use it. So that'll be what I use. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this one up here. And I appreciate everybody that has tuned in and watched tonight on the live stream. To Michael Thacker, Randy Royce, John, and Kristen, and even to the fine gentleman, what's his name? Wesley. He had some choice
Oh
things to
yeah,
say.
Wesley.
Yeah, he was. I don't know if that was a bot account or what, but that was a rando that came through and was just like, Jesus is all. He's mad at you. He's going to tell you about it or whatever. I don't know. But even for the engagement, if nothing else, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Wesley. You old dirty bastard, you. But anyway, Patrick, do you have anything else that you want to say to people before we wrap this up?
Yes, never underestimate the healing powers of being out in nature. You know, me personally, again, I have places that I can visit, be it near or far, but being out there helps a lot. So go hike.
Good advice. Yes, get out there, get your feet in the ground, get your face in the sun, right? Just be out there, be a part of it. Have a good night to you as well, and to Randy and to John and everybody. Good night, and thank you. Tell Jesus to go make us some tacos. Yeah, he already makes some really good tacos. All right, folks. Well, that was it for this month's live stream. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for being here on whatever platform it is that you're watching. As this airs for all the audio listeners, if you want to come and join me every month, we usually do these around the third or fourth Monday of every month. I don't know where Patrick is. He keeps popping in and out. But anyways, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook, and once a month, usually on the third or fourth Monday of every month, I'll do one of these live streams and get a chance to interact with all of you. But if nothing else, follow me on those socials and become a patron on Patreon. That link is right down here on the screen. You'll see it, patreon.com/MidgardMusings. Hello, Patrick. You're back again. I'm just doing some of the signing off stuff. So anyways, for those of you listening, thank you for your listenership and support in that way. If you want to support the podcast by watching, you can do so by becoming a patron on Patreon. It is just a $1 pledge. It gets you access to all of my videos in full length. And I don't know what else you can get for $1 these days. It used to could be that you could get eggs for that, but them days are long gone.
Or soda pop, you know.
So a $1 pledge, you got video access. You get to watch all of this stuff that's happening. So thank you to my patrons on Patreon. I know, Michael, you are. I know you're one of them. And he says, "I'll try not to be drunk next time." Well, you know what, man? Nobody's telling you that you can't be drunk and watch Midgard Musings or watch the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast. You do you, my man. You know, if that's what you want to do. You want to watch it, you know, twisted. Then get on with your bad self. I don't care. Appreciate you watching either way. So Patrick, just hang out for a second, and for again everybody else, please check out Patrick's group. It's the Heilung Tribe Mental Spiritual Support Group. The link for his group will be down in the description and also annotated in the podcast show notes for those of you listening. But it's on Facebook. It's a safe space. You can remain anonymous if you want to post anything. You can do so anonymously. Your identity will be kept private and safe. So definitely come out there and check out what Patrick is doing in that group. And yeah, take care of yourselves out there. It's a rough and wild world that we live in. So love yourself and take care of yourself. So until we talk to each other again, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. May the gods continue to notice you, and may your ancestors smile upon you. And we'll see you in the next one.